Hey guys, Woods Farm here, Project 222. Just back out working on the scout car. Today we're going to be working on the doors and the electrical system, so stick around and check it out. Okay guys, I mentioned in the last video that we're going to be working on the doors, and we're finally there. We're also going to start playing around with the electrical system. I mentioned before, we're going to do a very basic system to get us up and running so we can go to some events later this summer. But the doors, they need to be done properly, so we're going to start working on that. It's been super hot up here in Ontario. A lot of days it's like 35, really humid, so it's been difficult to work on the car. Yesterday I started playing around with the electrical system. I also mentioned in the last video I'm going to be going away on a work trip. So I'm going to be gone for about 3 weeks, and there's not going to be as many videos. I'm going to try to get this one last video out before I go. It's going to be kind of a show and tell style video. I'm not going to show a lot of the work. I'm just going to document the progress as I go along with the electrical system and the doors. I don't think the doors will be finished by the end of this video, or at least painted, but we're going to give it our best shot. So yesterday it was so hot that I really didn't want to work. I did play around with the electrical system. I'm going to start getting on this alternator here. I'm not sure if this needs an external regulator or potentially this is new enough that it has an internal regulator. Somehow I got to figure that out, but I do have the proper wiring harness and I've got some thicker gauge wire. So I'm starting to run the wire off of this. And then the main thing we want to take care of is this rat's nest of wires. You know, like basically it's just all jimmy rigged and cobbled together to get this thing to run and move around. So I need an ignition switch, a starter button, and also I need to properly wire in the fan. You can see the fan up there. I also managed to scavenge at the wrecking yard a proper wiring harness for the fan, so you can see the two wires there. That's got to be hooked up off of a relay. Something else I have to do on the turrets before I leave on my trip is complete it. I forgot about the slot for the sight. There is on the other side, on the gunner side, there is a small narrow slot right here that allows you to see through the scope. And also at the back, that hatch there, I need to make a hatch for that. And I'm not going to do anything too fancy, just I got to cut out a basic hatch shape, and then I'm going to fabricate up some hinges, and I think I'm actually just going to weld everything together. We'll see. Here's the aftermath of the electrical. Starting to work on the system. My basic plan right now is to have a panel at the rear and one at the front. Sort of to supply power to stuff at the back of the vehicle and then directly to stuff at the front, if that makes sense. We've got some fuse panels, and these kind of work as power distribution blocks, and I've got relays. At least one of these is going to be for the fan. Here's the dash. I might actually have to rebuild this down the road, but for now I'm going to use this piece, and definitely want to get a temperature gauge rigged up. I might wait on the oil pressure, but we've got a push button start, a master ignition switch, and I may have an on and off key. I'll see about that. Okay, there's the rear hatch. Just needs some paint, but it's functional. Also got the slot cut out for the sight. I guess you call it like a viewport, and I've got it trimmed up with some 1/2 inch. So now that the turret's done, I'm going to get it out of the shop here, store it for a few weeks while I'm gone away, and I can actually start working on these doors. The first one's going to be the most difficult, but once I figure out a system for the latch, it should be pretty quick to replicate it on the other side. there's the driver's side door. You can see the hook for the bread bag, the door handle, and the latching mechanism. I'm gonna have to make some adjustments to this and this here. They're probably gonna have to get bent up a little bit. Once we get the door mounted, I'll be able to make those adjustments based on the frame. And eventually this will get welded when everything's good. And that way you'll be able to actually actuate it, open it up with a wrench on the outside. Okay, we got the painting done. I've got the two doors painted. The latches were finished. We got those fabricated. I painted on the inside the cream color and the outside to match the rest of the vehicle. I've got a coat of paint on the turret inside and out. So that is complete now. Now that I got the painting done, I've got those doors completed. We're gonna go ahead and start working on the electrical, try to get some of the wiring completed before I go. Okay, I've got these two control boards completed. Well, the rear one, this one is the rear one. It's slightly more complicated. It's definitely done. This one still needs a little bit of wiring, but we'll get to that. But essentially, you explain what's going on here. The key on the dash that powers up, turns on the power. What that's going to do is that key is going to be wired to both of these master relays. These are 200 amp relays. And when the key on the dash is turned on, these relays will be activated and they will supply power to the fuse blocks. These fuse blocks will fuse the circuits that they're feeding, and they kind of act like power distribution blocks. So with that key on, you're going to get power to these separate relays. So there's an ignition relay, a starter relay, and a fan. And these will all be switched. So the starter, that is where there'll be the push button, and it'll turn on the starter motor to start the engine. There's ignition power, that'll have its own switch. And then there is the fan, that will have a switch as well. When the front system finally gets set up, that same key is also going to activate this 200 amp relay, which will in turn provide power to this fuse block, and then that is going to power up various systems on the front end of the vehicle. For instance, I've got a relay for the headlights and the horn. There'll also be power being fed to things like the gauges, and also power going to all the switches and things like that. Okay guys, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I've got as much as I can do before I go away on my trip. And while you're watching this video, I'm actually gonna be away. I'll be up north in a place called Pond Inlet. Gonna be there for 3 weeks working. And when I get back, we're gonna finish up the rest of the stuff that needs to get done. For instance, we're going to get the doors back on. We're going to finish all the basic electrical system so we can start up and drive the vehicle around. And hopefully we'll get the turret back on and get that finished so we can be ready for some events later in the summer. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And as always, thanks for watching.